That's your book. I forgot to give it to you.
Who knew you could rhyme so many things with Beckwith?
You can rhyme with.
Heckwith.
With Beckwith.
Heckwith.
I understand that, Jeff. I understand that. How many years of our relationships are in this room?
Oh, wait, Dave, you can't do that.
Oh, great.
I'm just getting started.
All right, just chill a minute.
Oh, yeah, this is
An organizer has an agenda. You taught me. It's okay to interrupt if you have something important to say.
How did you get away with anything? You say, you taught me to do this. Bam!
So those of you who signed the pledge for Dave Beckwith,
What a great idea.
what a great idea. So I was supposed to do the results and I forgot and I apologize. So 120 hours supporting or participating in the activities to support workers' rights. 200 supporting and participating in the activities to support anti-poverty issues and efforts. 80 mentoring a young person in social justice work. 70 supporting or participating in the political campaigns. And Dave, 520 total hours have been dedicated in your name for social change.
Will somebody make it 5:50? We can only get 30 more hours from somebody who can make it 5. And I know you can do it, Shannon. You're retired.
I've been 5:30.
5:30, that's 5:40. Now all we need is 10 more to hit the 5:50.
Come on, I've been.
You know, I love asking people to do things. I love asking people to give money. I love asking people to... I think it's such a gift to give people an opportunity to make a difference. And that's the gift you guys have given me. I was asking you before, how many hours of relationship does this room represent? Some of you, Larry Gordon was the guy whose turf I took over in South Providence in 1971. We worked together for 2 weeks, and then he went on to be a good organizer. A pattern which will reveal itself later. Some of you I met in the 1970s in New England. Some of you I met here in Washington. You know, I think I could tell at least one story about each of you. I think I could tell about an hour's worth of stories about most of you. But they're all stories about relationship, and they're mostly stories, number one, about what we did together. Not what we thought about or what we dreamed of, but what we did. They're also stories, though, if you think about them, if you think back in your mind and think, well, I guess he could tell this story, or I guess he could tell... You know, when Pablo and I first met, I thought, wow, he's really old. Well, now I am, and he's not. I don't know. You know, Kim Fellner was so short, I didn't think she was okay to be an organizer. She built the national organization, a National Organizers Alliance. And now she's working for the AFL-CIO. I mean, you guys, Paul Joyle and I worked in South Providence together in the People Acting Through Community effort in the early 1970s. And we're still around, we're still kicking, we're just still doing stuff. I remember the places we've been and the things we've done. And I remember, you know, being in the airport in Brussels, coming back from doing some work with the European Community Organizing Network, thanks to the Mott Foundation and the Center for Community Change, and seeing Shari Barenbach riding by on the walkway, because she's now, you know, I remember when she was, you know, raising hell for housing in Washington, D.C., and now she's in charge of telling the world about microlending on behalf of the U.S. government. Tom Murphy was in my second class of community organizing trainees in Rhode Island when I thought I had something to teach, but he was generous enough to go through all the things we sent to do. And when he started organizing in Bridgeport, he came back and said, well, now what do I do? And so we kept learning from each other. We kept doing things, and we kept learning from each other. Rick St. John and I, in the class of 1985, and Joe McNeely and Jeff and the folks at the Development Training Institute, taught us about adding things up and doing your homework when you're talking about community economic development and housing. And Rick, there he was, a poet, economic developer, community organizer, hellraiser. You know, Baldemar Velasquez, I have passed the hat for Baldemar a number of times. And it's come home full, not because of me, but because of Baldemar. So you know, for Steve Lerner, he taught me the chant from the Prison Guards Union. We're the union and we ain't stupid. These are funny stories and they're cool stories, they're interesting stories. They're stories that involve Brussels or Pittsburgh or the Southwest or South Providence. But and Gary Bass was, you know, now he's important, but I knew him when he was a person. Before he worked for a foundation. You know, they're stories of doing things and having fun and learning from one another. You know, when I walked into the front door of the Asylum Hill Organizing Project to work with the staff, the first person I met was Charlene Sinclair. And she was the receptionist. Now, a few years later, she was the field director for the Center for Community Change and my boss. So you know I learned a few things from her along the way. So I want to thank you all, not only for being good friends and for being a lot of fun and being great cousins and but for what you do. Not just for who you are, because you could be the best person in the world, and if you don't make a difference, it doesn't matter. So I want to thank you for what we have done together and what we will do in the future. And not just what we learn, but what we do with what we learn. I want to say this is not the Dave Show, of course. This is yours, but more than that. Think about Baldemar. Remember the exercise we did with the staff, the field staff before the summer? The connection exercise? We made a string. You would introduce yourself. Many of you have done this. You introduce yourself. I'm Dave, I'm from Toledo. Oh, I'm Baldemar, I'm from Toledo too. So I pass the string to him. When the thing is over, you raise the string up in the air, you see how many weird and interesting connections there are. Well, this is the night that the Alliance for Justice shows one little web that connects here. All the wonderful, powerful things you do, some of us have a little bit of something to do with it. Now, the web that this room represents is one of the thousands of webs of people who are doing really good and important things. And the Alliance for Justice brings us together to have a party for Dave. No, it's a party for them. It's a party for you. It's a party to celebrate the difference we're going to make because we know the difference we have made. I am so touched and so moved. I thank you for being my teachers. And I thank you for all you've done.